Is The Blood of Youth worth watching to the end? Now, I did a video a little while ago about the first few episodes and the snippets. I'm going to do the same here from around episode 12 to 35-ish. Spoiler free. It's spoiler free. Because having finished it recently, it made me look back on it, and I just really wanted to actually put a cap on it as an entirety, because this kind of show definitely evolved from its starting point to the end point, which is what you'd expect. But I will be showing us the Wuxia that we know and love, as well as by the end the direction the show has taken. Now yes, as the show goes on, we do actually start seeing the MC actually throw some of his prowess out here. Despite being, you know, crippled, he still manages to pull off some absolutely god tier moves, which is what you'd expect out of an MC in a Wuxia, of course. And I love the fact that he actually uses his friend's weapons. Character development, guys, you love to see it. Because he used to be the equivalent of an arrogant young master at the start. Let's be honest, that's basically how he acted. Now, of course, as the show has gone on, we've seen more and more characters get introduced. Good guys, bad guys, masters, standard Wuxia fashion. And they absolutely have managed to keep up that standard that they had in those first few episodes, pretty much throughout the entirety of the show. It's honestly impressive. It really is. Now, unfortunately, I can't put the entire fight scenes into this. This is really just a once-over, and I will get absolutely bent over and slapped with copyrights for days if I did that. So like I said in the last video, you can watch this for free at the link down below. It's also in the top right corner of all this footage. You can watch it for free. One of those things in all those Wuxia novels that we're always hearing about is that self-destruct thing. Now this scene isn't quite like that, but this is about how I imagine it would go against like a vastly superior fighter. It's absolutely hilarious. This scene absolutely kills me, especially the look on that guy's face before he just nopes the fuck out of there. Now, part of what I really liked about continuing this series is that they actually reuse the characters that they introduced at the start. I mean, a lot of shows like this, they'll introduce a character and they'll be dead in a couple of episodes, or they'll just never be mentioned again. So that's actually quite a breath of fresh air if you do end up continuing to watch this. Because honestly, even in this show, the side characters are still interesting. Honourable mention to the guy that's got to charge up his skill like an ultimate and then be protected with like a tank in front of him. Only in Wuxia would they wait for your opponent to do that. And then versus this absolute monster, just instantaneous tiger of fire levels a forest. And then comes the actual good stuff. I mean, this show is really ramping up towards episode 20 to mid-20s. And we start seeing some actually truly cool stuff. Infinite sword, I mean, what more could you want out of Wuxia right here? It even has the absolute scrubs with their exposition, just so you understand how strong this guy is. Now it bears mentioning that not every single fight in this show is an absolutely grand spectacle, because they simply can't be. And I'll be honest, I am showing some of like the absolute top tier, including my favourite one that's coming up soon. But I can't forget the actual Tang sect fighting, because the hidden weapons is always an amazing thing to watch, especially with today's CGI. It looks so clean and so smooth, and I said this in the first video that I did for this, but damn, I really hope that this is going to be the standard for all Wuxia shows moving forward, seriously. I've been a fan of Wuxia for a long time, and I have seen many series and many movies. But nothing, and I do mean nothing, actually prepared me for the intensity of this fight scene, because it's actually so well done. Don't get me wrong, there's some jarring bits, a little bit like, okay, yeah, it's a tiny bit off, but this fight scene is easily the best I have ever seen in this genre that isn't animated, basically. Because it's so damn hard to avoid cringe. It's so hard. And it's something that literally every single cdrama that tries to do Wuxia like ends up falling victim to. It's almost inevitable that there's going to be cringe. But I can't show you that stuff, nor am I going to show you this whole fight. I just want to show you what I perceive to be the absolute peak of live action Wuxia fighting. It is 10 out of 10. Now moving much further into the story, when all the bad guys are fleshed out, all the good guys are fleshed out, and we're really reaching towards the penultimate end of the series, there is still fighting per se, and it is still impressive by pretty much any metric, but it is definitely starting to take a back seat, and the show is starting to evolve by this point into something that's completely different from when it first started. Still some very cool moments though. Now I'm inclined to believe a lot of people are going to fall off this series before they even reach this point. It's the curse of C-drama in a way. Goes on for 40 episodes, each episode's close to an hour, it's a lot. But the reason for the drop off, I think, for this in particular is because the contrast between where the story's at now and where it was before, massive difference. Like, example, two of the leads here, they're just playing chess and having a grand old time, and a lot of the episodes past this point are just more talking and scheming, and it really moves more toward palace intrigue and court intrigue, which personally I don't really have a problem with, but I can definitely understand being a bit like, okay, is this the same show, or am I watching something different here? So I think to get to the end of this series, you really have to be able to enjoy both aspects, otherwise you are definitely going to be put off. Another really prevalent thing is that a lot of the main characters who were with the MC when he first began his journey have really not so much drifted, but they're just on screen less, and it's just another jarring aspect because you're so used to seeing them from the earliest episodes. So that could definitely be another reason why people were starting to drop off. Their favourite character isn't on screen as much, so they're like, can't be bothered watching it. And I've definitely done that myself with a lot of shows. It's not an uncommon thing. But I do wish that I could sit here and say that it doesn't get boring, but unfortunately it really does. And in the later episodes I really found myself, skip 10 seconds, skip 10 seconds, skip 10 seconds, and that was not something I did for the first 2/3 of this whole show. But of course I came for Wuxia, I'm not going to lie about it. I enjoy the palace intrigue and scheming side of things as much as the next person, but it was the major draw to me. So yes, the later episodes for me ended up being boring. I still enjoyed them and I still enjoyed the end. I'm not saying that it wasn't a good ending, but my goodness, some parts just dragged on way too long. That stupid brother of the MC, I have no idea how he survived as long as he did in this world. It blows my mind. Anyway, I don't want this to go on too long. I made this just to be a sequel to the first one because the first one was only the first few episodes, and this one is based on obviously me having watched the whole thing now, so I feel like I have a more rounded opinion. It was a good show, it was a damn good show, but you can tell they're used to people dropping off at the end. All the effort was at the start and the middle. But don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a like on this video and chuck a comment if you want to see more stuff like this, because I wouldn't mind making more videos like this, because obviously I enjoy watching these shows, so there is that. And also let me know if you disagree with this assessment and you felt that the later episodes were actually amazing by comparison to the start, because I'd actually be really curious to see who has a differing opinion here. But I'm rambling now. As always, have a great day.